Alright, welcome back everyone to some more Dungeon Crawl Stone Soup. I said last video in the Deep Elf Fire Elementalist that it was not a good idea for me to rush it and go into this area, as I would be flanked from the left side, and I'm going to be going through that in a second here. You'll see why. It's very dangerous to go into that area alone. So there's immediately elephants. I'm going to cast Sticky Flame and just kind of walk back. It's not a great strategy completely, because I do still get kind of damaged every time I have to reset my Sticky Flame. But now that it's a little safer here, I can kind of do my strategy of Conjure Flame, Ice Cloud, and Sticky Flame to do a lot of damage in general. I don't really need to... Oops, that's C, not D. I don't really need to use any of my direct conjuration spells when I'm so strong at dealing damage in larger AoE. Okay, let me rephrase that, because that was a little bit odd. Effectively, what I'm just saying is, my direct conjuration spells will never quite be as mana efficient as my damage over time spells, assuming the same level. So, as a result, I should try to cast my DOT spells like Freezing Cloud and Sticky Flame and Conjure Flame whenever I can, rather than Fireball. Fireball tends to be not as mana efficient unless I can hit a very high number of enemies with it. It tends to be a little bit less efficient, whereas Freezing Cloud takes a lot of time to work, but if I do get it to work, it's a lot stronger, so I can just do something like that, where I lead the enemy into endless clouds and they just eventually die. Okay, Bolt of Magma is a really interesting spell. The reason why I say that is because while it is shorter range than the ever-amazing Bolt of Fire, which we don't have yet, and it's also a triple school spell, meaning that I have to train Earth Magic as well to get the power up, it is partially irresistible, which makes it very attractive to use this early in the game. Also, it's penetrating, meaning it's very powerful for killing multiple enemies on the line. I will probably pick this up and then drop Mystic Blast, because I find that Mystic Blast tends to be not quite as good. I have 3 Scrolls of Amnesia, so I'm going to go ahead and do that now. I'm going to remove IMB and keep Bolt of Magma. Why do I do this? Because Bolt of Magma technically will be more mana efficient, given that it does more damage at level 5. It's bolt oriented, meaning it's very powerful for killing things in a line, which is what IMB kind of does, but not as well as Bolt of Magma. And the quote-unquote area of effect ability that IMB sometimes has when it explodes will mostly be covered by Fireball, which is much more consistent anyway. So Bolt of Magma generally overtakes that in all aspects. In addition, Bolt of Magma sort of takes on our off-element slot, but we also have Freezing Cloud and Orb of Destruction in that slot now, so IMB is completely irrelevant at this stage in the game. The only time I would need to use IMB is if I had only 4 mana, exactly 4 mana, and I also, for some reason, had to kill an enemy, just one enemy. It's not a very... Whoa, okay. Bit of lag there meant that we were just traveling into the blue. Okay, so this is a very bad spot for me to be in, because enemies are going to be kind of just chilling behind that corner. I'm going to take as wide a corner as I can to give myself the biggest line of sight advantage. For example, if I stood over here and I walked left down into this little corridor here, I would expose myself to as many tiles as I needed to. If I'm over here, on the other hand, I can actually restrict how many tiles people can see me in. Then I cast Ice Cloud, as in right here, to make sure that enemies that wouldn't normally walk into Ice Clouds wouldn't walk into them, into line of sight until I saw them, which would help me out significantly. I'm pretty sure there's a Hydra and a Catopopus here. I'm going to go ahead and Ice Cloud preemptively, a little early, just to make sure that I don't die. As I'm backing off, I need to be aware that my Ice Clouds are actually fading away. So I need to try to keep them a little bit more in line of sight. And we're going to start backing off here, because again, our mana is running a bit low. I don't really have a choice here. I'm going to have to sit here. Yeah, this is what I mean by be careful when you're running low on mana, because now I'm suddenly in the spot where the Catopopus might kill me, which is not good. I think the best strat here is probably just use Freezing Cloud. If he doesn't walk into one of my clouds, into his own clouds, he might actually just die to this. I'm gonna cast a box of beasts here. Do one sticky flame and then blink. Let the box of beasts kind of do some stuff, and then finish him off with a wand. Note here that I never drop down a 0 mana. I always keep that one extra spell in the bank. That's kind of important for me. It's more of a tick than anything, like a mental, like, just thing that I automatically do. But having that low amount of mana is very dangerous, but I always try to resort to, say for example, my wands, my box of beasts, which just summoned a dude to distract him while he was getting sticky flamed. Just all these like non-mana options, like attack ones and such, were used before I ran out of mana. So I had one extra spell if I absolutely needed to. So I had 6 mana, which meant that I had 1 free fireball, I had 1 freezing cloud, or if I waited a few turns, I had 1 free orb of destruction, which would be very powerful in certain cases. I was making sure there to stay within the bounds of my own, within the bounds of my mana limit. I made absolutely sure. Alright, Hydra. Again, we're going to engage him from very far away. Never let him get anywhere near melee with us. A Hydra can probably kill us in about 2 turns. Okay, we're going to take the same route, do a wide corner rather than a short corner. You saw that I was about here. Sorry, I was here, I think. Instead of going up like this, I walk around and explore like that, so as to prevent myself from getting in melee with any potential opponents. Again, just being very careful, very cautious with the way that we do things. Ring of Stealth. Ring of Stealth isn't too bad at this stage in the game, but I think that the Ring of Civ, like, it's not really worth anything at this point. It's only 1 pip of stealth, and it's like, it's fine, but I don't know. Seeing Viz is not really great either, but whatever. I don't care that much about my secondary ring slot. The only one that really matters is Wizardry. So now that we've cleared this left side out, we have access to this right, I guess, long-ish area. We're going to clear this very slowly, again, retreating back to the known whenever we're running kind of low on mana. I would use the Wand of Power to get 50 MP, but I think at this stage the hungerlessness is just extremely attractive as a staff trait, and I think that's really important for me. So I'm going to go ahead and keep it. Alright, I'm going to try to explore a little bit out to the right here, create a little bit of extra breathing room, I suppose. We're cutting down on the number of areas that are unknown to us by sort of closing that right-hand side off by exploring the whole thing. It means that I cannot possibly get ambushed from that side, meaning I can safely approach this left side without getting flanked, which is really good for us. And it doesn't look like there's anything in here. Alright, cool. I was just making sure. Like I said, the safer your exploration habits, the easier you'll find the game to be. I can guarantee this. Like, if you actually explored as optimally as you needed to, the game is fairly straightforward. There's very few threats that can actually kill you. And you won't even have to get into situations, which I like to kind of mentally label panic spots or decision-making spots. As in, like, do I have to use a resource or not? And if I use a resource, how do I use it most efficiently? That kind of spot is when you're in a bit of panic. If you explore optimally and you work your way around the map optimally, it's very rare that you'll ever have to use a consumable. Which allows you, of course, in turn to use your consumables much more, readily. Which, again, then increases your safety by leaps and bounds. Effectively, what I'm just trying to say is exploring properly can technically simplify your game to the point where there is no such thing as consumable, panic consumable usage. It's possible almost entirely to negate the majority of threats simply by exploration. So that's why I kind of went into extreme detail today, just to talk about that huge 3-way fork. I think that was quite important to kind of analyze, just to give you guys an idea of how properly one can explore. It really does. Make. I guess I'm making it sound a little bit like Auto Explorer is bad. For a normal game, Auto Explorer is fine, guys. Like, I just want to point that out. It's absolutely fine to use Auto Explorer. But if you are playing fairly optimally, you generally will avoid auto-explore unless the floor is already fully cleared. Again, we're taking this game as slowly as possible to show you that optimal play is slow and it is tedious, and it requires a level of, I suppose, you know, tactical or more mental fortitude. I was gonna say like tactical prowess, but the reality is no, that's not true. You literally just get one rule, and you follow it over and over again. And then it becomes a battle of how long you can last until you just go insane. Anyway, continuing on. Now that we're back in dungeon, after Lair, I can now pretty much safely guarantee that I won't get into many melee situations at this stage in the game. I think it's pretty... I'm pretty assured that it'll be hard for anything to get into melee with me if I'm playing correctly. Of course, the only exceptions would be if I turn the corner and something's faster than me. If I want something to get into melee with me, like this centaur here, because that is faster than me, and I can conjure flame it. Or if the enemy's just, like, flat out just cheating somehow, through blinking or some nonsense. But generally, I won't get into melee with any 10-speed enemy. It's very unlikely, unless, of course, I'm goading them with sticky flame usage. Alright, there is a acid dragon here. I probably want to kill that with magma cloud. Oh, that is unfortunate. Okay, we're just gonna back off here. Is there any way we can stop this guy? Okay, maybe if we conjure flame ice clouds. Nope, that didn't work. Okay, so what I'm gonna do here is I'm going to blink to create more space, and then I'm going to go upstairs and then head down a different staircase. The chances of that blink putting me back in melee with the enemy Hydra is not incredibly high, so I wasn't too scared about that. There are some very specific mechanics that you can use to... Oh, someone's messaging on Steam, sorry about that. I apologize if you heard that. I can't hear anything because I don't have an earphone plugged in, so I literally can't hear anything on my desktop. But if there is a lot of subtlety behind the usage of blink in terms of restricting square spaces and figuring out optimal patterns for square restriction and generally all that nonsense. But I won't go into it this video because I think that's just a complete... I could probably spend like a couple of hours talking about very specific situations where you would want to blink in certain areas in certain ways. Mostly it's intuitive, but there's a there's like an air of mathematics behind that intuitiveness. It's all about like probability and how to maximize your gains. I wasted a whole bunch of mana there on Freezing Cloud just because I wanted to kill that Cyclops without having to get shot as many times as I did, but I was not very successful. I still got hit a couple of times. Well, thankfully Reflect Missiles was able to prevent me from taking damage by reflecting those missiles, but, you know, I still technically got hit, so... Technically. That wasn't very well done. I could have used Orb of Destruction, but again, I'm trying not to use it because at this stage in the game, most characters don't have it, and I don't want Orb of Destruction to really override most of whatever else is in this game. I'm still trying to rely mostly on level 5-6 spells, and I'm putting a little bit more emphasis on using my fire spells, mostly again to illustrate how to use them. So here there's a lot of enemies to the north and south. What is going to happen here? I'm going to predict this in my mind. I'm going to put the Ice Cloud down here first on the Hydra. That's going to slow him and give me more turns. I'm going to kill those orcs to the south. They're not very important. Then I'm going to Sticky Flame. And then as the Hydra gets out of line of sight, out of the Ice Clouds, I'm going to hit him with Bolts of Fire. Okay, the situation has changed because the Centaur is now on the screen. I will now Fireball to the north, killing both the Centaurs. And then I'll Fireball to the south, killing most of the orcs. Sorry, so that was a fairly complicated situation in that there was a lot of stuff going on. As you can see, the Fireball has actually caused a bunch of enemies to just show up. That's, again, the unfortunate nature of having Fireball on an empty floor. Just a whole bunch of stuff wakes up and figures out you're there. But basically, the idea there was priority over a lot of things. One sec, I need a drink. The Hydra was the highest priority because it was the most damage. It was the highest damage dealing enemy. If it got into melee with me, it's game over. I use Ice Clouds there, so let's go over to that original screen. I was standing here. I used Ice Clouds to slow it down because it's a cold-blooded enemy. It also deals a significant amount of damage to the enemy. I then cast Ice Cloud on the orcs to make sure that they didn't get in the way of any melee, if they didn't like confuse me or do any nonsense. Once the Hydra was almost out of range of the Ice Clouds, I started hitting him for real, which was only one turn away. Then a Centaur showed up. I cast Fireball to kill both of them at the same time. And then because I cast Fireball, the noise was high. So I decided to quickly Fireball the rest of the enemies off the screen. But I was figuring out that I started to run low on mana. I then shot at the Hungry Ghost a couple of times and then pulled him upstairs to finish him off. And then I did not go downstairs because a Shadow is actually capable of dealing a pretty hefty amount of damage. That purple thing over there. So that was just a very, very long-winded strategic analysis that I just did. And that really just encapsulates how you're supposed to play. Like, all these decisions that and considerations that one makes was mostly automatic, which is why I kind of played through that a little bit quickly. I'm still, like I said, I've been playing this game long enough that a lot of these decisions just kind of happen. I don't really pay attention to what's going on. I know what I should have done, and I know what I should do, so I just do it. It's just kind of reaction at this point. That sounds weird to a lot of people, but that's just how I figure it out. So I use Magma, Bolt of Magma on the Gargoyle. Whoops, that's not the right spell. Alright. I was trying to cast Freezing Cloud, but then I realized Freezing Cloud... Oh, shiz, that was not good. Whoops. We moved in melee with that because we didn't see the two-headed ogre. So I'm going to use Orb of Destruction right here. As you can see, I can cast it from anywhere on the screen, which makes it incredibly powerful. Cast it, move one tile back. Okay, I just skipped over him, that's fine. Cast it again. Smack him. Is it going to hit him again? Oh, it hit him again. So because the... Oh, let's show you how it's supposed to work against Hydras first. But as you can see there, the Orb of Destruction actually homes in on the target. If you have open enough space, eventually the Orb of Destruction will hit the enemy, even if it misses the first time. Obviously, I wouldn't count on it happening all the time, but in very open spaces like this, Orb of Destruction is the best spell in the game, and I'll show you why. So I'm going to cast Orb of Destruction right here. I'm going to move back one tile. I'm going to move back one tile, and look how much damage I did to it. This is a pretty low spell power Orb of Destruction, but within 2 casts, I was able to kill it, and that is the equivalent of 2 turns worth of. Movement, I suppose. He only managed to move 1 tile towards me. I got 2 Orbs of Destruction off, and I regained 2 mana as I was walking backwards as well. So that was a fairly efficient trade. Again, you wouldn't really count this as the real Orb of Destruction yet because we don't have enough conjurations to make it fairly high spell power. It's doing damage. I mean, it did 2-shot the Orb of the Hydra, but a Hydra is not exactly a great example of why it's so damn good. If I had gotten a full max range Orb of Destruction off, I probably would have one-shot him, but I can't really tell from this position, so we'll have to see again. But yeah, I'll try to avoid using Orb of Destruction this early in the game, just because, again, it's not really great of an idea. Freezing Cloud and Flame Cloud at this point are staples in our cloud-based society, you know. Wait, what? Sorry, my research was like getting in the way. I was like, cloud-based society, what am I talking about? Yeah, at this point, our character is pretty well versed in the arts of using ice clouds to kill people, I think. I would hope. So I'm not going to really go over that discussion again. But as you can see, the ice cloud is very efficient for killing a lot of creeps, a lot of mobs at the same time. It isn't effective against the undead, but it is very effective against pretty much anything living. Let's cast Conjure Flame there and just Sticky Flame. Conjure Flame obviously doesn't put out... Sticky Flame doesn't put out Conjure Flame, but Sticky Flame does put out the Ice Clouds. So Urg is a unique that has Javelins. If I just keep her in this like Ice Cloud, she'll just die over 1 cast. Again, why I say that the the spell is incredibly mana efficient. If you actually leave someone in the full duration, in the cloud for the full duration of the cloud, it kills everything, pretty much everything in this 2-rune area that isn't cold resistant. So it's really insanely good. Okay, Vehemit has given us a bit of a... damn it, Vehemit. Why? I want a Bolt of Fire. Okay. Bolt of Cold is your level 6 bread and butter spell for your ice mages. It's literally exactly what it says. It is a penetrating bolt of frost. It just hits things in a line. As with all other bolt spells, every time it pierces an opponent, the max range of that spell goes down by 1. So you can hit someone at the edge, so the very edge of your bolt of cold, and it'll hit the last guy there. But if there's guys in between, it'll kind of fall short as it pierces through them. Bolt of Cold is significantly worse than Bolt of Fire. And why do I say that? Because Bolt of Cold has 1 less range than Bolt of Fire. I know that sounds like a very small thing, but Vehemit provides... With Bolt of Fire, with Vehemit, Bolt of Fire is full screen. With Bolt of Cold, it's less than full screen. It's 1 tile less than full screen, which makes it pretty shit, to be completely honest. Oh, well, it's not shit, but it's worse in my eyes than Bolt of Fire, which makes me not want to use it at all. But I will use it for the sake of this video. Just pretend that this is full screen. Just pretend this is a full screen spell. Damn it! I'm actually annoyed by that. I'm gonna go ahead and Amnesia Bolt of Magma now, because I only really need 1 bolt spell. I know this seems like kind of a waste of Amnesia scrolls, but I'm not going to use those 5. I'm not going to use... Once I have Bolt of Cold, I'm not going to use Bolt of Magma. There's no point. The irresistibility thing was so small anyway, and Orb of Destruction still covers that off-element slot. Again, I'm making very sure to keep my spells mostly as efficient as I can. At this point, the only 2 redundant spells in my list are Flame Tongue and Throw Flame, because they're strongly overpowered by everything else in my inventory, or in my arsenal. The only reason why I keep Flame Tongue on me is because it's 1 mana, which means that, first of all, the slot, the opportunity cost for amnesiaing a 1 mana spell is so high. Amnesia scrolls are fairly rare in this game, which is why, and with Vehemit, you don't get the ability to amnesia as with Sifmuna. So you do end up with these times where you're kind of rushing to get those gifts out, but you can't get them fast enough. That he gifts to you, because you run out of spell slots. So I don't want to... I'm only freeing up spell slots for the bigger spells. I tend to keep Throw Flame and Flame Tongue if I don't have enough Amnesia Scrolls, which I only have 2 of now, so I'm a little bit worried. In case I need like a level, 7 spell or 6 spell. But look, for the time being, Bolt of Cold will handle our off-element. It is technically not Fire Elemental, so any fire-resistant enemies will not be so great against us. From this book, Deflect Missiles is incredible. Again, it's just like Repel Missiles, but slightly stronger, which makes it very desirable because it helps us in the range versus range matchup, which is kind of bad for us. As I said before, we have less defense than most guys. The one benefit of Bolt of Cold is that it's actually going to synergize really strongly with our with our Freezing Cloud, because Bolt of Cold is going to not pop those Freezing Clouds, which is really good. So here is where I wish I had Bolt of Magma, because I can't pierce this stupid shadow. But what I can do is just melee Orb of Destruction it. Not efficient at all in mana, but it's what I mean by you have an off-element spell, even if it is kind of poop. It is Hungerless though, so we're not super concerned. So yeah, Freezing Cloud and Bolt of Cold is pretty good. But as you can see, Bolt of Cold actually can't reach beyond... can't reach to full screen, which makes it slightly worse. But in this very specific scenario, it could arguably be a lot better. So, I don't know. I can't really tell now if it is better or worse. Depends on how long we use Freezing Cloud, I suppose. I mean, we do have negative synergy with Conjure Flame, so technically, it could be considered worse than Bolt of Fire. I don't know. So here you can see that the Bolt spell can pierce up to the last guy, but if, as I said before, the maximum range is only 6 tiles, then I'm not gonna if I hit any of the first 3, I'm not gonna hit that last guy. However, I will always aim to hit the maximum number of enemies. Why do I say that? Because you need to make sure that the bolt spell will at least hit the last target if it misses everything else. Maximizing your range for your maximizing the amount of targets that are kept in your bolt of cold or bolt of fire is pretty critical, I'd say. If I shot like this, yes, that would still hit, and arguably it would still fall short, even if it hit all three. But I'm gonna do it like this because it'll hit as many guys as possible. See, I still ended up missing, I think, one of those yaks, but it doesn't matter. Like I said, it's more important that I got the original idea right. Conjure Flame here is pretty good. I'm just gonna sit here and just let these guys die on me. Meanwhile, the Humid provides me with a couple more points of mana, just for my troubles. How long have we been recording? 25 minutes already. It's getting kind of hot now, because I didn't turn my aircon before I recorded, which is a bit foolish now that I think about it. But it's fine. It's all good. I might have to end the video at about 30 minutes though, just because even the night is very hot in Australian summers. I know a lot of you American fellows are in the middle of winter now, I think. But me out here, we had our first 40-degree day, 40-degree Celsius. Holy crap, that was bad. That was pretty rough. Very muggy too, so the weather was very moist, very humid, very painful. Alright, so again at this point, I think it's fairly clear we're abiding by our optimal position, our optimal engage pattern as much as possible. If you didn't watch last video, our optimal engage pattern is basically stand at as far as we possibly can in the effective range of our spells. So in that case, depending on what spell it is, it'll be one tile away from full screen for Bolt of Cold, or it'll be full screen for Bolt of Fire. For Bolt of Fire or Orb of Destruction, and Freezing Cloud. The only reason why I'm not going to stand at full screen and use Orb of Destruction as my effective range is because Orb of Destruction requires me to have an open space, which I don't always have. So I cast Freezing Cloud there just to wake up the guy. Doesn't look like he followed and took the bait. We're going to just run away. We're resetting to make sure that we can get our optimal engage pattern again. This corner kind of sucks for us. Yeah, see. We're kind of in a bit of an annoying spot here. But I think if we just stand here, we can probably just get away with it. Again, Mage does not require this much attention in reality. It's just that I'm doing it because sometimes people might be able to get something extra from what I'm doing here and incorporate it into their own level of play. Strictly speaking, there is no reason to play this slowly or carefully for a Mage. Especially if it's your first win, it really doesn't matter. It's not that relevant. Alright, I'm gonna return back to this side, this left-hand side, and just kind of shit my mana all over the place. I don't know. Like, enemies are resistant to cold, the whites, but I don't care. If they stand in my ice cloud long enough, they'll all die anyway, it's fine. Even if they are resistant, they'll still take a non-zero amount of damage over time, which is really good for us. Man, this vault is really weird. It like kind of cut into this area, and you can see that a couple of these like dead ends just happened because they got interrupted by this big ass vault. Just in the generation. Pretty interesting. Quite interesting indeed. Gonna cast Conjure Flame and Sticky Flame here. I mean, an Ice Cloud. And then I'm just gonna fill the rest of these tiles up with fire. Just because why not? Can't cast Bolt of Cold here because... Okay, well you can do that. He just skipped through the flames. Yeah, I'm not going to cast Bolt of Cold through my Conjure Flame because the opposite interaction will happen and we'll just get destroyed. So those long swords have very high evade, and they also are immune or resistant to a lot of elemental stuff. To get around those shenanigans, I blinked backwards, or I just blinked in general, to get that distance, and then cast Orb of Destruction at a mid-range pace. Again, casting Orb of Destruction isn't really great in corridors, so I decided to not cast it when I was standing up there. Oops, oh god. When I was standing here, and I saw the sword go that way. So instead what I did is, I was here, the sword was here. I blinked because I knew that the only two places that the blink would take me was either further along the corridor, which I could use to kind of stand here, break off the line of sight like this, such that these corridor squares are no longer in line of sight, and and then I could blink out, like that. Or, in the alternative, it would just blink me straight into the second corridor, like that. Which lets me create more space, and the open space makes it so that my Orb of Destruction becomes significantly more accurate. Again, figuring out how to use Blink and figuring out how to use Orb of Destruction are basically the biggest key tips that I would say are important for a budding mage player. It's very important to learn how to use your tools. And Blink and Orb of Destruction tend to be the ones that are incredibly potent. Mostly because they can win you the game solo if you know how to do it right. Well, Blink not so much, because you can't just kill everyone with Blink. Ignore what the Warpers try to tell you, because they're just dirty liars. You cannot kill enemies with Blink. And Warper is actually the worst background in the game, so, you know. Anyone who plays Warper will know. Alright, so here the enemies are actually asleep, but one of them is in melee with me, and we know this one's a pretty scary guy. We're actually going to just pull up and not go down that staircase at all. Just go down a different one. The main reason why is because even if I survive and kill that one ogre by blinking away, this second gargoyle will actually deal a lot of damage to me, as it's a semi-ranged opponent, by stone arrowing me in the face. If I get stone arrowed and then I get a double-headed ogre, there's a good chance that I just drop to like 30% HP instantly. And then I'll be in a very precarious situation. It's much easier for me, when those guys are asleep, to just go upstairs, avoid the fight entirely, and then come back at a better place. Alright, melee are the cancer of the new dungeon. They are fast, heal each other, smite you, and poison you. So they're just assholes in general. Thanks, devs, I guess. And they also wield weapons, by the way, so you can have distortion melee. Ow, I just scratched my hand. Ow. I just scratched my hand. Wait, that was not what I wanted to say. Melee is shit. That's what I wanted to say. There you go. So the first thing I did was fireball immediately in the hopes of killing them. I didn't manage to kill all three of them. I just killed one. But now I'm in this position where the enemies are blocked by my undead. So what you do is you just shoot straight through your undead. They'll be pissed off at you, sure. But they're just regular shit undead. You killed them once already, you can kill them again. Bam, look at that. Kill the two melee, and then sticky flame this crocodile, back off. Yes, we aggro the crocodile. Does it matter? Not really. I then Orb of Destruction this two-headed ogre because I saw him. Ideally, though, I should have gone upstairs and healed first, but I kind of just misclicked, and then I went to the wrong area. Again, Orb of Destruction just blows things up at max range. I'm using it pretty liberally now. I don't know why. Mostly because I'm lazy. I made a misplay there by moving one tile further into line of sight of that enemy, opening myself up to that entire south side of the unknown, and also taking a free shot rather than just hitting him directly. I was a little bit worried about getting flanked from the south, but it's still, whatever, it's fine. I should have definitely been more careful with what I was doing. I'm going to level strength at this point. Why? Because I have a swamp dragon armor, and I feel like strength might be more important to wearing that swamp dragon armor than intelligence would be. Strength will help me offset the encumbrance penalty, meaning that I will be less encumbered, and my voices, sorry, I'm reading the chat log. It makes it so that my armor encumbrance and my skill cost spell failure penalties will be reduced. It'll never be completely removed, no matter how much strength I have, I think. Or at least I'd have to have an insane amount of strength to completely remove the spell casting penalty of this Swamp Dragon armor, but it'll definitely help. I think more so at this point than even Int would. Alright, Book of Maledictions offers us not much. It's just a bunch of random hexes that we don't really care for. I'm instead going to just train for the deflect missiles. And I'm going to... Oops. Oh, I have a Book of Ice Magic. Why am I training Fire Magic? That's weird. I'm going to turn Conjuration's training off for the time being and just train a little bit of Charms. At +4, it'll go really quick, and I'll just get this spell castable in like a 4's time. That's the power of Deep Elf. If you have a good spell set, you're just going to wreck everything. I'm going to throw an Orb of Destruction that way on the Cyclops. That's kind of the benefit of having the Orb of Destruction there. You can shoot one Orb of Destruction in this direction, and then shoot one in this direction, and then back off from both of them, and you'll hit them both, killing them most of the time, especially if it's charging up. I'm going to cast Orb of Destruction here past the opponent to make sure that it doesn't hit my skeleton and get absorbed by it. Still ends up hitting the ogre, killing him. Not bad. Not bad indeed. Casting Orb of Destruction again. I don't know why. Alright, another ring. Protection from magic. That's quite good. In fact, probably better than See Invisible. MR is pretty helpful against any, you know, MR, like, magic-based enemy. It's pretty decent. Again, we're in our optimal engage pattern here. 8-headed Hydra's at full screen. Whoops, that's not what I wanted. I can just kind of wait here at line of sight and move back one tile to prevent myself from him from getting any closer to me. And I just cast it again, kill him. Of course, like, I think at this point, for Hydra specifically, Ice Clouds are more efficient than the Orb of Destruction, but it's definitely, the difference is the Orb of Destruction will work on Orbs of Fire as well as Hydras, whereas the Ice Cloud will obviously not really work too well on the Hydra. I'm gonna cast Sticky Flame here, just to kill the opponent. Sticky Flame actually lights enemies on fire, meaning that if they're invisible, they stop being invisible. Oddly enough, the undead are not affected by that. I don't know why that's the case, it's really annoying, but demons and such, like Lockuprakers, will actually not be affected by that at all. There was a ranged guy over there. I simply walked around the corner and forced him to come towards me. Where he had range superiority, or potential range superiority, I want to be in melee with him. If you want to know more about that, please look at the Positional Guide to Line of Sight. I think it's called Diagonal Movement and Line of Sight, specifically. It's a video I did. It's very in-depth about playing as a mage, playing as a melee, how to restrict line of sight and all that good stuff. It's very, very critical for any player who wants to, you know, kind of figure out how to use line of sight to their advantage. Alright, I'm already seeing that this See Invisible thing is really annoying. I can just hot swap to it though, that's good. +3 Ring of Intelligence. At this stage in the game, it really doesn't do too much, but +3 Ring of Int actually is kind of cool. Sometimes. It will help us reduce spell failure, help us reduce skill failure. Spell hunger, and it'll increase spell power by an amount, making it pretty good, but because of the Staff of Energy, that's mostly redundant, and the Staff of Wizardry, the Ring of Wizardry, sorry. So I think it's not really that important to have 3 extra int. It might be important later on, but not right now. Okay, the Hydra was not at our optimal position. We're going to slow him down and just back off. Slow with the Ice Clouds. Very helpful. Alright, I'm going to leave it here because it's been about 37... Oh man, it's actually been 40 minutes, jeez. Alright, I'm going to leave it here anyway. I don't know if I should upload this today. It's already 11 o'clock. It's kind of late. And I do want to take a nap, but maybe I will upload it now. Anyway, either way, I need to go now, so thanks for watching, guys, and I will see you all tomorrow.